Hi everyone and welcome back. My jaw surgery adventure continues and the countdown is on. I'm only a couple weeks away from surgery, but I actually wanted to go back today and tell you a little story about how, as part of the process leading up to this surgery, I found out that I was tongue-tied. And if you don't know what it means to be tongue-tied, because I didn't really know what that meant, I'd heard it before, but I didn't actually know what being tongue-tied meant. That is where the little band of fascia that is underneath your tongue, that kind of holds your tongue to the bottom of your mouth, is too short. And when it's too short and your tongue kind of can't function properly, it can cause a lot of problems, as I discovered when I found this out about a year ago. So it was kind of interesting. I had gone to the orthodontist to talk about getting braces and doing the prep for this surgery. And she sent me to a myofunctional specialist, which is basically like a speech therapist and somebody that kind of specializes in things like how your mouth and tongue function. So my orthodontist thought it would be a good idea for me to go have a consultation because she suspected that I might be tongue-tied. And when I went to this myofunctional specialist and she took some measurements and she had me like chew some things, like eat things and swallow. And she basically was like, yeah, you are pretty tongue-tied and you need to get that fixed. And the way that they fix it is you go to a dentist that does this kind of procedure, and they either can use like a laser or just like literally cut the fascia under your tongue until you have enough room for it to move correctly and function correctly. So before I could have this frenectomy, because it's called a frenum or a frenulum is the band of tissue that is holding your tongue. So it's called a frenectomy when you have that cut. Before I could have that done, I had to do several months worth of physical therapy and like practicing tongue exercises. It was super weird. So I had to do things like side to side tongue, where you basically like open your mouth and go side to side, and like all these different things, practice swallowing. I had to completely relearn how to swallow. Turns out I have been swallowing incorrectly my entire life. So I did all this physical therapy, did all this practice of swallowing, holding my tongue in the correct position, moving it around, and literally like training a muscle, just training the tongue to function more properly. And you do that ahead of time so that when they cut the tissue underneath your tongue, you kind of already know how to move it correctly and how to do all these things, because for a while afterwards you're really numb, and you also have to kind of like stretch it out and stuff because it's going to try to heal really quickly and kind of shorten up again. And so you have to really know how to do all these exercises ahead of time and what it feels like, so that right afterwards you can keep practicing them and make sure that the procedure like heals correctly and everything moves forward in the right way. And I literally had to like wake up in the middle of the night for a couple of nights and do these exercises to keep stretching it out and make sure that it didn't tighten back up again. And it took about a week before it was pretty well healed. But what was also interesting to find out was that this can really contribute to a lot of the bite and teeth problems that I have been experiencing. So when your tongue is, or when that frenum is too short and you're tongue-tied, the tongue doesn't rest up against the roof of your mouth like it is supposed to. And when you're young and your palate is growing, the tongue pushes up against the roof of your mouth and helps it expand so that like your teeth can fit in there and your tongue has a place to rest. So because my tongue was kind of stuck on the bottom of my mouth, I didn't get that proper expansion, and my tongue ends up pushing against my front teeth, which helped to contribute to my open bite and some of like the bite problems that I have now. It turns out that a lot of babies, if they have trouble nursing, they will check for tongue tie. If a baby is tongue tied, it's harder for them to nurse because they can't like make a sucking motion with their tongue. And I had no idea, but it turns out that I really had trouble nursing as an infant as well. But unfortunately, it was not discovered that I was tongue-tied, and so that did not get fixed. Before I had this frenectomy done, the physical therapist and the dentist said that a lot of people who experience head and neck pain would get a lot of relief after having the procedure done, because all that fascia that is under your tongue connects to the fascia that's in the front of your neck. And so when that's really tight, it creates a lot of tension in your neck, and it has made such a huge difference. Like, I still get a lot of tension in the back of my head now, but all of the tension that I used to have in the front was so uncomfortable is completely gone. I mean, it's been like a major, major difference. And now my tongue has so much more mobility. Like, it's just amazing to me what the difference is. Like, before, if I would try to do certain exercises that the physical therapist was working on with me, like moving my tongue side to side or just like sticking my tongue all the way out, it would be really hard. Like, my whole jaw would have to shift or move in order to let my tongue move. And now it is so much more free that it can kind of move on its own without like making my whole mouth move around. And it'll be really interesting to see after the surgery, which should create some more space for my tongue to sit in my mouth, how that kind of feels, or how I'm able to sort of use the exercises that I was doing before and kind of swallow properly and hold my tongue in the proper place and all of those things. So if you think that this might be you, like if you have tension in your neck, if you feel like your tongue kind of doesn't fit in your mouth, if you maybe know you had trouble nursing as a baby, if you have any speech impediments, that's another thing that can come with this. I would definitely recommend getting it checked out if you can, maybe going to a physical therapist or a myofunctional specialist and see if you might be tongue-tied, because it has been such a huge difference for me, and I'm really interested to see after the jaw surgery how that feels and how that kind of gives my tongue more room in my mouth. So that is my tongue tie story. And as we move closer to my surgery date, I'm getting ready to go, I will keep you guys updated on what is happening, and as I get to Spain and start doing my pre-op testing and really getting ready to have this happen. So I hope you will continue watching, stick with me through these next couple weeks, and thank you for watching today. I will see you soon.